going down in Grind City. That is the Stifle Tower. Two-time Defensive Player of the Year, offensively effective, 17 points on the night, 8 rebounds as the Utah Jazz get the victory in Game 4 and go up 3-1 with an opportunity to close things out when they go home to Utah. And Jazz Nation is happy about this one. I can smell the second round. Oh, they're so cute at that age. Let's go! With that being said, NBA fans, what's good? You are now rocking with the best. Ro Parrish here in Studio B. It is Playoff Central Live. I have Steve Smith, NBA champion and all-star. I have the Hall of Famer and two-time champion Isaiah Thomas here with us to break down Game 3. Grizzlies take the L to the Utah Jazz. Zeke, starting with you, we saw late in the game that Utah Jazz team started making a run, Conley making big plays, the strip and going down and making the three. Your immediate thoughts from seeing this game?
Conley coming home and knowing when to, insert the dagger, so to speak. Sometimes you can play a game and you just have to wait for the right moments to make your mark and to make the biggest plays in the game. And I thought Conley did that, knocking down the three, then coming back and getting a steal, then penetrating the lane and getting the assist. Those three plays during that period of time, those were backbreaker plays in terms of breaking the momentum, breaking the spirit of the Grizzlies. And I thought Conley was perfect in inserting himself into the offensive thrust of the game during that moment in time.
Didn't have the biggest scoring night, only 11 points in comparison with the 20-point games that he's had previously in this series. But when you look at someone like Donovan Mitchell right now, who has the highest scoring average in Utah Jazz playoff history, and we know they've had some great players in the Utah Jazz's franchise, your thoughts on Donovan Mitchell and how he was able to lead this team to a victory?
What I love about him, Ro, is he's a rim seeker. He's always trying to get downhill, and I think it helps because when you have that much space and shooter, he creates a lane, be able to have an offensive rebounding lane for Rudy Gobert, but also he obviously attracts two, and when he attracts two, sometimes he can go through two, split two, but then also he finds his teammates. I think for him is, didn't shoot it great, but this is the playoffs. You gotta hunt shots if that's your job and also have a balance of being able to get your teammates involved. But the best thing for me today was how he got himself to that free throw line. I think it was 13 free throw attempts. It just settled to Utah Jazz. They looked like a totally different team with him. The reason why he's that downhill guy that can attract two off the dribble, off the bounce, and as a guard with that size, him absorbing contact, playing through contact, really helps the Utah Jazz.
30 points in
Smitty,
this.
I just have to say this, and you and I, we got love for Detroit, and I just look at this game tonight and I say Donovan Mitchell, and then I look at Phoenix with Devin Booker, and this is totally off subject, but the Pistons passed on both of them. Now back to tonight, Smitty. I'm sorry, that just came out, man. I just got
Smitty has left the building. Just like
Smitty,
that.
I'm sorry.
Smitty is out of here.
Come
Just
on,
like
Detroit.
that.
Come on back.
Detroit basketball.
It just came out.
Hey, one thing that I
you
love.
going to a commercial?
Nah,
I had to gather myself.
Hey, he had to gain his composure. One thing that I love about Zeke, as he always says, he'll let it be known. And he let it be known right there.
And and the reason why is not only their talent, the way they approach the game, they fit Detroit basketball. That's the difference. You can have the talent. You say, we want that talent. But they fit Detroit basketball. And Zeke said, he just hurt my heart now. They passed on him.
I'm sorry. It just came out. I apologize to the audience. Utah, Donovan was great tonight. And, he did everything that you need to do to win a basketball game. And, he was perfect. And, and also, hats off to Coach Snyder, too, who's done an excellent job of, regrouping his team after such a heartbreaking performance in the bubble, losing that 3-1 lead, then coming back this year, getting their team ready, Conley adjusting to his new role. Coach Snyder's done a great job in Utah also.
And Zeke, to add, Jordan Clarkson's 24 points, but another guy, hard hat guy, Royce O'Neal. Zeke, I don't know if we ever get a chance to talk about him a lot. He's just there. He's there. I'm going to hit a timely three. I'm not the first, second, third, fourth option offensively. But he's always on that floor, Zeke, and it's something he's doing positive, defending, rebounding, scrapping for the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, and they believe, Smitty. I mean, you can look at Utah, and with Mitchell and Conley, they have two ball penetrators that can get downhill. They're unselfish with the basketball. They set up their 3-point game, and then defensively, they're very solid on the defensive side of the ball. So again, Coach Snyder, coming from Coach K and that background on defense and offense and shooting a 3-point shot and playing free. The way they came into the game tonight. Even though it was a closeout game, and you can see at the end of the game, these last 3 to 5 minutes, their style of play is consistent. They're still shooting the long ball. They're still penetrating. They're still making good plays. They do not change their style at the end of the game. And Greg Anthony made an excellent point. He said the last 5 minutes of the game was almost a replica of the last 5 minutes of the last game. That's because that's their style, and they're consistent, and they play with it.
They definitely do play consistent. That's why they've been the number one team virtually all season in NBA, the Utah Jazz. We got plenty coming your way on Playoff Central Live. They call him Spider. When I'll come back running the 4-5 like Jordan, it ain't the tank aim at you, it's the aim at you. His 10th game, scoring 30 or more in the playoffs. That's Donovan Mitchell. We'll hear from the entire team. Well, not the up 3-1, the first time they've won road playoff games consecutively since 2017. Quinn Snyder, the head coach.
John Morant, and then he came back down and hit a 3. He'd been quiet for most of the game up until that point, I think. How important is he in especially those moments where he's able to shift the game no matter how active he's been?
Yeah, he's kind of a sneaky quiet. He whispers, but you can hear him. And I think he impacts the game so many ways. And in those instances, obviously, those are making big plays. His presence on the court is so settling. And I think, taking a defensive challenge and, also pushing the ball up the court. I thought in the third quarter, we really moved the ball. It's the best we've run in a while. And, Mike's play is a big part of that. It got everybody running. And I'll give our bigs credit too, because they really ran to the rim and created space. But as you said, Mike's capable of making big plays on both ends. And those two plays consecutively certainly had a big impact on the momentum of the game.
Eric Walden, Salt Lake Tribune.
Quinn, there's been a lot said about the Grizzlies' resiliency this series, their ability to come back after you guys surge ahead. But you guys have demonstrated your own resiliency in kind of handling their comebacks. What's been kind of the key to maintaining your composure and kind of being able to pull these games out after, Memphis makes them close?
Well, I think it's something we've talked about, all year long, just the ability to get to the next play. And, I think when your whole team is focused on that, there's always going to be moments where guys drift for whatever reason. It happens to all of us. And I think when there's a collective mindset and understanding that you have to get to the next play together, that's what you see. And, I'm focused on our guys. I think we've been a resilient team, all year long as well. And I think our biggest challenge, and the one we've talked about, most recently, continuously, but even more recently, is just to be consistently competitive. And our execution, I think, is reflective of that, on both ends of the floor. Those are things that, we don't think of in terms of, we usually think of that in terms of execution, on the offensive end. But for instance, the rebounds that Royce got in traffic, I thought were a huge part of the game.
Kristen Kenny, Jazz TV.
Speaking of Royce O'Neal, he's shown great balance in this series on both ends of the floor. What have you seen from him?
Well, we have a lot of confidence in Royce, and I think he's finding a balance offensively between, being aggressive and taking a shot when he's open, being a playmaker, moving the ball, playing pick and roll where he's rolling, he's gotten more comfortable in those situations. And he's just such a competitor, and he's a smart player. So I think when you have that mindset that you want to impact the game, any way you can, you usually find ways to do it. And that's what we see from him consistently.
Tony Jones, The Athletic.
Coach, it feels like, Ja's still been, really dynamic, and he was really dynamic tonight, but it feels like you guys are finding some level of comfort in terms of defending him, particularly in possessions that matter. Is that something that you're seeing, or you still think that, the defense in terms of keeping him from touching the paint needs to get better?
Well, it's hard. If you've watched him play all year, Tony, as you have, it's hard to keep him out of the paint, and I think you can, there's a lot of things you can do to try to do that. I thought, one of the biggest things, when he had that really big game, when he had 47, is we put him on the line 20 times. And, I think collectively, we've been more connected in those situations. If he's going to play one-on-one against somebody from the top of the floor, I don't think there's anyone in the league that can stand in front of him. So, we all have to be conscious of what he's doing on the floor. And, and then, he also has the ability to create. So, as I've said, you're going to give up something, and you just, literally try to do your best to make it hard, to make a shot contested. There are certain situations where it's easier to do that, and you try to create those, but also with the understanding that, if he does make a play, you've got to get to the next play, because he's going to make some, and he made some tonight, and, he'll make some again the next game.
David James, KUTV.
Quinn, because you were up 3-1 a year ago, do you have a lot of confidence in the guys' ability to maintain focus and take this all the way through the finish line?
Yeah, last year is last year, just like the regular season is the regular season. I think there's things that, that you take from the past that you learn from, and there's experience. For our group, that's been going on for a while. This was a team that, was questioned on every level, last May. And, those types of moments and that type of adversity, if handled properly, you learn from it and you're better. And honestly, we've tried to take, it's the old cliche, take one game at a time, but understanding also that every game is different. I think that's really true within the course of a singular game. And I thought we were more consistent tonight. Teams are going to make runs, especially teams that are as good as Memphis. And really it's how you respond to them. So we just want to be ready to play the next game, and let the rest take care of itself. I think if we compete and execute, that's what we want to do.
Ben Anderson, KSLSports.com.
I know he's kind of done it all year. That's why he won the award. But Jordan Clarkson's third quarter seemed really important. What does that do for your team in a playoff game like this on the road?
Well, I can't remember who asked me. I think it was a number of people if I was worried about Jordan shooting, because he hadn't shot it great, of late. But you don't have to look too far back to see games like you saw tonight. And he has the ability to come in the game and change the game. And there's times when, he can get himself in a little bit of trouble, but he can also get out of trouble. And I thought tonight, something as simple as spacing, and making reads. And we passed the ball better tonight. And that really helps Jordan, where he's not responsible for creating everything on his own, where, he's on the back end of some of those possessions and get some clean looks. And that happened tonight. One of the things about Jordan that makes him really unique, first of all, you get the sense that, when he misses, he keeps shooting. So to that extent, he's mentally tough enough to take the next shot, but he's also someone that cares so deeply about playing well and about helping the team. So, when he does have a stretch where he's missing a couple in a row, I don't think he presses, but he's very aware of it. And usually, at times you just need to remember to remind him that that's who he is and that's who we need him to be.
Last question, Nick Friedel, ESPN.
Quinn, I wanted to follow up on what you mentioned about last season and experience. Obviously, every year is different, but do you think because of what the group went through last year in the postseason bubble, they're more confident now going into a similar situation in a similar setting?
Yeah, I don't, I'm sure it's something that the guys have discussed at various times. I think we're looking at it more generally, as opposed to pointing to a specific series or a specific time. That situation in the bubble was a really unique one. And that's certainly not to discount the fact that, we were in a position that we want to be in again. But this is a different year and this is a different team. We've got Boyan back. Derek is here this year. So, there's some things about our group right now. And I think there's a maturity, when you go through, we've been through a lot. And I think when that happens, all of us, whether it's personally or certainly with the team, you pull each other along. And I think that's the growth process that's taking place with our team. And so I don't know if we're thinking about kind of these similarities between situations as much as we are focusing on, competing and executing. Those are the two things that we say over and over and over again. Let's compete and let's execute and let's compete collectively. And I think if that's where our focus is, we'll be in a good place. To the extent that that's something that you can build on from last year, that's good too.
All right, that's all for tonight. Thank you, Coach.
One coach to the other, we go to Taylor Jenkins, the head coach for the Grizzlies.
Taylor, what did you think were the decisive factors that swung this game in Utah's favor?
They made more plays than we did. I thought we got great looks throughout stretches of the game, and every time we missed, a wide open three or wide open layup, it seemed like they just scored right away on the other end. So give them a lot of credit. That's why they're the best team in the NBA. I said it all along. We don't take advantage of an opportunity. They're going to make you pay. So, a couple of breakdowns here and there throughout the game, but so proud of our guys' fight. Unbelievable game plan discipline. They just made more plays than us. We were right there. Another game right there in the fourth quarter. Great fight, and just came up a little short.
Evan Barnes.
Taylor, you got the fight you wanted in the first quarter, but that third quarter, which you guys dominated, that was kind of where the Jazz kind of took over. At this point, is it just kind of frustrating to just kind of see how many ways this team can just counter you guys now?
They've done it the entire season. It's nothing to be frustrated about when we're giving a great fight against the best team in the NBA, and they just have a response for everything. We're giving it everything we got. We're competing at the highest level. We're trying to play our best basketball, and they're trying to play their best basketball too. So I wouldn't say it's frustration. It's actually encouraging that, with the group that we have against the group that they have, and we're going toe-to-toe. It's phenomenal to watch. You obviously wish that it would swing, but our efforts there, our discipline was there tonight. The looks that we got, we take. We'll watch the film. Obviously, you're going to want some things to be a little bit different in terms of execution, or you're never going to play a perfect game. You got to play a perfect game against this team, and we are so close. 2 games in a row, comes down to the fourth quarter, last couple of minutes. I would not say I'm frustrated. I'm so encouraged. All we got to focus on is going and winning one game. We've been great on the road. We've won there before. It's going to be their hardest game of the year to win for them, and our focus is going to go out there and keep competing and fighting and give it our best shot and play our best basketball.
Sean Coleman.
Coach Grayson in Game 3, DeAnthony tonight. The bench source from the shooting has really stepped up. It seems like in Game 5 it's combining it from multiple sources, but that has to be a huge encouragement, getting the three-point shooting going from the bench.
Yeah, we're getting more attempts. The ball's moving a little bit better. Hopefully we're moving the ball even better in the next game, and we're getting the same looks and we're knocking them down. Our bench was huge tonight. JJ had tons of great looks. Ja had great looks. The energy and the ball's moving better. We just got to keep taking up a notch to break through and get another victory here. So bench was huge. Last 2 games, different guys stepping up. We're going to need that effort again Wednesday night.
think we lost Avery. Brandon Abraham, go ahead.
Hey, Taylor, changed the rotation up a little bit tonight, cutting it down to 9, different players in different spots. Is that something that's just kind of changing on the fly as the games go on and heading into an elimination game on Wednesday?
I mean, it's something that we planned out and discussed as a staff after game 3 and, just trying to get, more shooting out there, spacers, obviously they play small, trying to create opportunities for our guys as much as possible, advantages on the offensive end if we can. And, we got confidence in these guys defensively. We're making it tough. I know they scored 120, but we're making it as tough as possible on these guys. Try not to give them free looks, but definitely in, the conversation with our group, and we'll kind of figure out after watching the film what's best for us going into game 5.
Clayton Collier.
Coach, just the performance of Jaren, I know you touched on it earlier, but, for a guy that's coming back, trying to find his full, pre-injury groove, to have a performance like this tonight, what does that do for his confidence for a young guy and also his development and getting back to that point?
No, it's great development. It's great confidence boosting. I said it before the game, to somebody like his aggressiveness on both ends of the floor has been phenomenal the last 2 games. See him knock down some shots tonight and have that confidence shooting from the 3-point line, but his drive and finishing game with physicality, defensively, some great contests, rebounding as well. These are huge steps for him. I know he's still trying to find his way back and, getting back to his best shape and all that stuff, but he's doing everything in his powers to give us everything he's got, and just really proud of his effort, and I know he's going to even be better in game 5.
Last question, we'll go to Evan.
Taylor, if you could just expand a little bit, when you talk about being encouraged by this team at this point, just being, again, a young group, maybe playing, some people saying ahead of schedule, but for you seeing this group improve and maybe applying the lessons you guys have learned, how proud does it make you knowing that you guys are fighting toe-to-toe with this Jazz team?
You must have been in the locker room. That's exactly what I said to the team afterwards. I said, heads up, so proud of the fight. We're right there. We're literally going toe-to-toe against the best team in the NBA. We're doing a lot of things great. Compared to the previous game, we're doing more. We got to find ways to do more. Our mentality, as we've done all season long, is continue to fight, be the most competitive team, most together team. And I've got the most faith in this group when we go out and get on a plane tomorrow. We'll be ready for game 5. We're going to play our best basketball of the season. These guys do it all season long. And these moments right here, first for so many of these guys, to stay together, stay the course, stay the fight. It's huge. It's huge for our growth. It's huge for our future, but the job's not done yet. We still got a lot more work to do. A series isn't over. We just got to focus on winning one game and bringing basketball back here to Memphis.
Thank you, Coach.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
A 7-point win in game 3. There's Rudy. He's about to join the steam room with Chuck and Ernie. Let's take a listen.
Coach Snyder tell you at the halftime to explain your second half compared with your first one?
We weren't really satisfied with the way we were playing in the first half. Even though we had 5 points, we really felt like we could, do a lot of things better offensively and defensively. So, just keep our head, keep moving the ball and defensively, get back and communicate with each other. It sounds pretty simple, but, when we stop doing that, they usually make a run. So we really had to clean that up, and I thought we did a much better job in the second half.
Eric Walden, Salt Lake Tribune.
Rudy, what was kind of the key for you personally? Obviously, you had just 1.2 rebounds at the half, and then you're getting 3 buckets within the first couple of minutes of the third quarter. Was Quinn kind of designing stuff to get you a little more engaged on that end?
Not really. I think, the main thing for me is when we move the ball and we play the way we're supposed to play, when we attack the basket, I know guys going to find me or I'm going to get offensive rebounds. And, it's pretty much our best offense. Guys, the defense is going to collapse and either they're going to help off me and I'm going to get a dunk or rebound, or they're going to help off the shooter and we're going to get a 3. So that's really the way we're trying to play. And when we kind of stop doing that, we usually turn it over or get a bad shot, and then they're able to have transition and run on us. So I thought we did a great job doing that in the second half, and JC had a great run, and everybody else was involved, and it's pretty tough to guard when we play that way.
Sarah Todd, Deseret News.
Rudy, to your point, JC having that third quarter and then, Royce on the boards, Fave on defense when he was in. How important is it? I mean, I know the team relies so much on you and Donovan, but having those guys have big plays and have their moments, how important is that during the playoffs?
It's huge, and that's what I've been saying for a while. Having David Favors coming on the bench is a luxury. And, I think it makes the difference between us being a really good team, it's us being a great team, because there's going to be games when, like tonight in the first half, I'm in foul trouble, and Derek comes in and, he's able to impact the game and dominate and really kind of like anchor our defense too. So, it's huge. And having guys like Jordan that come off the bench and are able to, bring a spark of the bench in a lot of different ways, it's I think it's what makes us special this year. We're able to play great basketball for 48 minutes. And, it's hard for teams to keep up with the way we play if we play the right way for 40 minutes.
Kristen Kenny, Jazz TV.
Rudy, you guys are up 3-1 like last year in the bubble. We've talked a lot about how the adversity has made you guys better. Has it better prepared you to close this series out?
I mean, we know it's one game at a time, and for us, you just keep getting better. We know they're not going to give up. They're going to come out and give everything they have. They've won 2 of those games before the playoffs, so they've been in those situations before win or go home. So they're going to come in and play really hard and try to beat us. And for us, it's about matching their physicality and play our basketball, do what we do defensively and offensively, and just, keep getting better, because we don't want to just be in the second round. We try to do something a little bigger than that.
Tony Jones, The Athletic.
Rudy Gobert with the towel on. You say no to getting buckets. Ja Morant can't. 23-12 in game 4. Losing effort. However, we will hear from the point guard coming up next on Playoff Central Live.
It's time for some straight talk. You can't work if everyone's sucking up the free Wi-Fi, so be your own hotspot. Get 10 gigs of hotspot data with the ultimate unlimited plan. Just $55 a month on America's largest and most dependable networks. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
When we really, really want something, come on, Greg, it's hard to wait. That's why CarMax gives you an instant online offer for your car. The way it should be. CarMax.
I spent months looking for a job. I got nowhere. This helped me deal with that frustration. Things changed when I tried ZipRecruiter, because it works like a free personal recruiter. ZipRecruiter sent me great jobs. I applied with a click. Some companies even invited me to apply. I started a new job last week. This still helps.
Go to ZipRecruiter.com and put ZipRecruiter to work for you.
Cheeser, pepperoni cheeser, you know you got it. Little Caesars hot and ready pepperoni cheeser with classic pepperoni, fresh mozzarella, and a toasted Parmesan and Asiago cheese crust for $7. Carry out or delivery.
Is this one of your State Farm commercials?
Yeah, sure is. Chris smiles and says, "Wow, I love State Farm's surprisingly great rates." Then suddenly his body turns into a basketball.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If you're a guy over 40, take it from me, Frank Thomas. Nugenix Total T will help you feel like the man you used to be.
Right, like that stuff actually works.
Hey, buddy, up here.
The key ingredient in Nugenix is clinically researched to totally work.
Hey, buddy, check it out. My workout's a lot better. I'm feeling stronger and more energetic with a lot more drive. I'm back to being the big hurt. You still don't believe me? Just send a text. Get a complimentary bottle. Come on. You're stuck in park right now.
And trust me, she'll like the difference too.
Hey guys, it's time to start your engine.
To get your complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenix Total T, text GOLD to 42424. Samples are not available in stores. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, with key ingredients to help you get back in shape fast. Absolutely free. That's GOLD to 42424.
Back to life.
Being on your home floor is more important than ever in this year's NBA playoffs.
And away we go. Let's get hyped, baby. We're back. We're in the arena.
Back to home court advantage.
Let's go. There's only one place to get the real NBA playoff advantage.
Make NBA TV your home for all playoff coverage.
Welcome home.
He had 28-7 in the previous game, 23-12 in this one. His name is Ja Morant. He's at the mic.
Coach was telling us just kind of how encouraged he is by just kind of how the fight you guys have shown, especially the last two games. How do you feel just kind of where, even though the loss is there, how do you feel about just being encouraged by the team just fighting against obviously the NBA's best team by record?
That's a positive for us. Not to, no matter what's going on in the game, shots falling, shots not falling, continue to play hard and not give up. We just got to, find ways to close out better.
Sean Coleman.
Ja, between game 3 and game 4, especially with the start tonight, it seems like there was a better effort for the full 48, which has, of course, been y'all's plan all along. It seems like every game there's a level of improvement that makes y'all more and more competitive. Hopefully it would all come together in game 5 for a full 48 to get the win.
That's our goal. Obviously, game 2, game 3, they got out on a hot start, which put us, in, I think, like a double-digit hole. Eventually, we came back, tied the game up, but we felt like, if we just, start better and, we know that, they'll go on a run, just, try to cut it short and go on a run of our own, we'd be in, a good position. Like I said before, we just got to, figure out how to close out the game better.
Josh Robbins.
Ja, given that Utah has at least 4 high-level three-point shooters on the floor at all times, how much margin of error does that leave your team against a team like that?
It's tough. We just got to try to keep the ball in front and, try not to be in, rotation as much as possible. With them being able to, shoot the ball. If we in, in rotations, they normally get good looks. So just got to contain the ball, continue to just play hard, keep pursuing, and get stops, rebound, and, get out and run. They are a great team, and, they make you pay for, mistakes.
Drew.
Ja, in 2 elimination games this year, is there anything you'll lean on from those 2 looking ahead to game 5?
No. We've been playing the same way, all season. Just got to, focus in on, the next game, play hard, 48 minutes, and, just try to play our basketball.
Brandon Abraham.
Ja, kind of piggybacking off of what Evan was saying about the Taylor talking about how he's encouraged and not frustrated. How big is that for such a young team, going through a stretch, losing 3 in a row in a playoff series, to always have his positive mentality?
We all stay positive, no matter what's going on. We just can't, let one game carry over to the next. We can't be, frustrated and go into the next game frustrated. We got to have all the confidence in the world, be positive. We work to get here. So just got to, like I said, just go out and, play our basketball, play hard, and just, play full 48.
Last question, Adam Tyke.
Ja, it seems like late game execution has been a bit of a theme over the last couple of games.
We were just missing shots. Honestly, it's the shots we've been shooting all season. Same plays we've been running, early in the game. Just missed shots late. So just going to continue to get better, keep shooting with confidence, and, try to close out the game.
Thanks.
That was the point guard. Now here is Spider Mitchell, averaging 27.4 points per game in his playoff career. Smitty, that is the most in Jazz franchise history. It's not bad right there.
And they had some pretty good players in that franchise.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. His 10th career game scoring 30 or more. Now we will go to Spider Mitchell. He is a 10 of. Let's take a listen.
To kind of, hang in there and not give up. But the flip side to that is you guys seem to answer back every time. What's kind of been the key to, you guys being able to respond when they start to put on the pressure?
It's all our mental.
I think that's the biggest thing, the mental aspect of it. You know, like I said, like you said, they're a team that's never going to quit. Up 30, down 30, it doesn't matter what quarter it is. And, you know, hats off to them for that. But the biggest thing is when you have a team that's always going to be aggressive, always trying to continue to fight basketball. Too many times tonight, you know, I know we won, but too many times tonight, we get up 9, 10, we get careless. I throw a cross-court baseball pass, turnover, leads to a 3. We had another one where it was just a stupid pass. Like those are the things that we got to nip in the butt. Those are the mental stuff. And we fixed it, we executed through it, and it didn't end up hurting us. But if you want to be the team you want to be, that's going to be the game, you know, for throughout the playoffs. So that's really what it is for us. Just continue to be sharp mentally, up 10, down 10, and go out there and do what we do.
Sarah Todd, Deseret News.
Don, there was that sequence in the fourth quarter when Mike came in, he stripped Ja Morant and then turned around and made a 3 on the other end. It was a huge momentum shift. He'd been kind of quiet through the night up until that point. What can you say about the way that he's sort of able to come in those really high pressure situations and calm things down and be able to shift the game like that?
You know, just from the court, you know, on paper, he only had 11 points. He had 7 assists, but it felt like he was out there having 20 and 10. You know what I mean? Like just his presence, the way he goes about the game. Like I said, mentally, he's seen a lot of this throughout his playoff experience. He's seen a lot of it here. So he knows the game, knows the arena. That plays a big factor for sure. And, you know, his knowledge of the game helps, you know, understanding and studying guys on the scout report, knowing their movements, knowing when to be aggressive, when to lay back. You know, I think that's why I always say, like, man, it's great to have Mike because, you know, he's out there helping me as well. You know, when he makes a move or he does something, I see it, you know, on film or I see it in live action. He's always kind of giving me little tidbits here and there. And I think that's what he does for his team. Like last game, it was 20 and whatever. You know, game 2, it was 20 and 15. Like, you know, tonight was 11 and 7. But he had a tremendous impact. You know, he had one of the highest plus minuses in the game because he just he executes on both ends of the floor. He's a leader on the floor and in the locker room.
David James, KUTV.
Donovan, Dylan Brooks was trending on Twitter big time during the game. Jazz fans were going nuts. And I'm curious if, as players, the stuff that's happened with him, you just view it as kind of part of the playoffs, or do you feel like some lines been crossed and it does fire you guys up a little bit the way it fires up fans?
I love him. Simply put, you know, you've seen it through my career. I like when people talk shit. Like, it's just part of the game. I grew up in that, you know, and that's just how I've always played basketball. I think that for us, it gets him going, and that's his thing. That's cool. It gets us going too. So, but that also goes back to what I was saying to Sarah about the mental component, because it can take you out of the game completely, you know. And I think the biggest thing is to stay sharp mentally and going out there finding ways to execute. And he wants to keep doing that. That's cool. I don't think we're really sweating it. The biggest thing is just got to stay locked in and continue to do what we do and not really pay attention to all that.
Sam Farnsworth, KSL TV.
Hey, Donovan, what's the feeling like tonight compared to last year or back in the bubble when you guys had that 3-1 lead against the Nuggets? Is that at all comparable, or have you tried to move past that already?
Same situation. I think the biggest thing is we didn't come in the locker room like we came in happy for the win, but we didn't really come in the locker room like we got one. Job's not done. It's not finished. And I think that's the message. I know that's the message. 1 through 17 and the coaches and everybody. We have to go there and take care of home court back in Utah. And I think that's where our head is at. You know, this is a good win. There's things we could have done much better, and we'll go ahead and execute that and take care of business at home. But, you know, we've seen this before. We've been here before. It's just the exact moment we've played up to being this team that we've been, you know, because of that moment, I would say, you know, because that fueled a lot of this season. And we're here again, and we're going to go out there and just do what we do and not really relish on the past, although it definitely is fueling.
Kristen Kenny, Jazz TV.
That's his teammate in the back.
Late in the fourth quarter where you were able to get the ball away from Ja and then come down and drill a 3 on the other end. You know, what were you seeing in those plays, and just in your mind, how huge were those to kind of swing the momentum in your guys' direction for good?
Well, obviously, I think there were, a good stretch of plays where, throughout the game, Ja's been kind of having his way, getting in the paint, and I knew at some point, I get switched on to him, or I have to, guard him in that same area, and I was able to kind of get in front and cut him off and make him pick up the ball. And I've always had quick hands, and an eye for when to go for the ball and when not to, and was able to get my hand on the ball and go out of the way with it. And, the threes that transpired, or the one that happened before that and the one after, just were timely, just, filling the game out. I knew, Don had done a lot during the game and, was wearing down a little bit. So I gave him a couple of possessions off. And, I've been in that position plenty where I feel real comfortable with the ball in my hand later in the game and was able to just knock down a couple good ones.
Sarah Todd, Deseret News.
Mike, you've seen a lot of playoff basketball in your days, and you know what it's like when a team maybe has to rely heavily on like its top two guys or its top guy. How much of a luxury is it for you to have someone like Jordan Clarkson who can come in the third quarter and make a big difference, or Derek Favors to come off the bench, or Royce O'Neal getting rebounds?
Man, that's why we're so, so deep and talented just across the board. We have so many guys we trust, so many guys that we have faith in down the stretch and different points in the game. Like you said, Derek Favors has some great moments. Obviously, JC does what he does, and tonight was a really good bounce back performance for him. Something that he's been kind of waiting on to kind of explode and then really go out, have a good night like this. And not all of us can have that kind of night every night. So for me, it was a little bit more subdued, and I was more, facilitator for most part of the game, and we're okay with that. Like that's why we're, who we are and where we're at, is because we're just an unselfish team, and there's no egos, and we just play basketball.
Sam Farnsworth, KSL TV.
Hey, Mike, Memphis has been kind of a team of runs throughout this series. They've been able to, erase your guys' large leads, but what's been the key in holding those off and specifically tonight, just being able to like flip the switch and expand your lead again so quickly?
Well, I think, in those stretches where they're making runs, they're a very emotional team. They get very high in those moments. And for us, it's kind of just trying to stay steady through it all, trying to stay steady, trying to understand that execution and discipline down the stretch is what we need most. And when we're able to do both of those things on both ends of the floor, I think it allows us to put stretches together where we stop a 9-0 run and put our own 14-0 run together, allowing us to get a little bit of breathing room to win these games down the stretch.
Mike Conley and his band performing somewhere on Beale Street tonight. Shouts out to Mike Conley right at home. Looking at the schedule for the remainder of this series, Wednesday night, that's Game 5 right here on NBA TV, 9:30 p.m. Z, coming to you first. Potential closeout game. How do you expect this young Grizzlies team to respond going back to Utah?
I think they'll come out with a lot of fight. I think they'll execute better. However, I think Utah may just be a little bit too much for them at home. But I wouldn't be surprised if they came out and snuck out a win there. But I'm picking Utah to win it, but I never would count out the Grizzlies, considering the way, Ja is playing right now.
Last time we saw Ja out there, well, one of the last times we saw Ja, he had that 47-point game. And Smitty, what we say, they said he can't shoot, but he still drops 47. What do you expect to happen in this potential closeout game back in Utah?
Well, I think the Memphis Grizzlies will compete. That's what they've been doing. They've shown that. They got the respect of the Utah Jazz. They have to execute down the stretch if they can get there and have the game close. And then I think for them is they got to have one of those outliers, somebody else to come out and have one of those games where they hit 5 or 6 threes, whether it's Grayson Allen, DeAnthony Melton, who played well, or Bane. But I think also the key right now for them is Jaren Jackson starting to get his rhythm, and his approach to the game was much better than the last two. He's starting to get his balance, starting to get his confidence back. If he can have one of those games where he control on both ends of the floor, they will have a chance. But the favorites will be the Utah Jazz, closing them out in Salt Lake City.
Favorites for the obvious reasons you mentioned. Jaren Jackson Jr., 21 points tonight in 26 minutes, really starting to find himself on that floor. The Grizzlies fans hope that they can extend the series. Jazz fans want to keep it moving. Well, we're going to keep it moving. We appreciate you for watching. That man right there, that